I'm getting a bit philosophical on the channel these days, but what else can we do with the tablet? This episode of Some Gadget Guy is brought to you by viewers like you, all the folks who share content on social media, and the incredible generosity of my patrons. Patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. More info on those awesome nerds later in the video. What else can we do with a tablet? I mean, it's just a solution in search of a problem, am I right? Up top! Right off the bat, this is a bit more of a philosophical question that I'm putting out there. This video is not one of those like top 7 things you can do tutorial, number 3 will blow your mind, and then you sort through the list and they're like, you can use it to let little kids play games on one. There are plenty of hack listicles out there. I'd like to have a different kind of conversation here because it never gets old, right? How we hold on to those catchy little phrases like I said at the top of this video. Now, I'm playing with the OnePlus Pad 2, and it's generally getting great reviews for what it is. And you see, tablets are things that get a lot of side-eye. It's a slate of compute power, but the modern tablet got its start as a way to put mediocre phone apps on a larger screen. The tablet earned a reputation for overlapping a phone, while not quite bringing the benefits of a laptop. But nowadays, folks do a ton of their daily computing from phones, mobile apps, and web services. The tablet's reputation has improved, but it still can't seem to shake this feeling of being an overlap or an also-ran. I feel in part we just haven't experimented as much with the tablet as we could have. One of the first things I think people consider, you can watch a movie on a larger screen than something that can fit in your pocket. But immediately we need to do something else with the slate. Find a way to prop it up or put a case on it, find a stand, something else. On its own, it's less convenient for being larger when you need to hold it. A few tablets will have built-in kickstands, and I love this design, but on the whole, we make an incomplete product where the user needs to augment the hardware for it to fit their needs. Another example, we could give a tablet to a little kid, but that's foolish unless you're packing armor around that slate to protect it. Now, to be fair, phones also resemble some of this incompleteness, but I can watch a movie on a phone one-handed, so I have a whole other hand to do stuff with, and it's a lot easier to prop up a phone on any collection of household items than a larger screen tablet. We've seen a handful of fun experiments, but it's hard to tinker with a mobile slate and not accidentally turn it into a non-portable device. I think the most successful version of this idea is to try and replicate a laptop. You get a keyboard case, and this becomes a better productivity device. That makes sense to us because we're all generally familiar with laptops. Turning one thing into something else that we're already familiar with is successful because our brains are wired to appreciate familiarity. But there has to be other things we can try. Now, in the past, I've played with video game docks for iPads, turning a tablet into a small arcade machine. Absolutely fun, but it was a novelty that wore off kind of quick. And similarly, we saw experiments for turning a tablet into a control surface for recording equipment. And that kind of makes more sense in that you're likely not using a tablet for funny personal stuff and professional recording stuff, but then after a point, one would have to ask, if the tablet is so good at that kind of control, why make it detachable? Why make it a portable device that then docks? If it's better than knobs and switches and pots and faders, shouldn't you just build the touchscreen directly into the console you're working on? More recently, I think we should applaud Google trying to do something similar with the Pixel tablet. It's a slate, and it's a smart display. But I think it very likely that most consumers will use one form factor of that pairing a lot more than the other. I don't think Google's first try at this really moved the needle on a 2-in-1 gadget, but I think they should get a lot more credit for trying something a little bit different. Now, for me, compute power is compute power is compute power. I really don't care what shape the computer is. If it can crunch ones and zeros, we should be able to use it in any way that we want to get our work done. Unfortunately, we keep drawing these artificial lines between different shapes, between the phone shape, the tablet shape, the laptop shape, the desktop shape, which is really frustrating right now because the computer in your pocket is likely more powerful than the last laptop you owned, while using a lot less electricity to get a similar quantity of compute work done. So I think it's fair when we see a lot of these questions pop up. Why use a tablet to get work done when you could buy a Chromebook? But you'd be buying a Chromebook that's probably less powerful than a current premium tablet. So I'm making this a video because I don't have the answers. I'm actually putting this out as a legit question, and I hope it generates a little conversation. What else can we do with a larger slab of compute power? What other experiments should we try? And especially if you're watching videos on a channel like mine, I have to believe you consider yourself some kind of tech enthusiast. What new fun things might we be missing? Please drop the tastiest of hot takes underneath this video. And as I test and benchmark these gadgets, I make all those mediocre bar graphs in PowerPoint, the first folks who get to see the results of my performance testing are my amazing patrons. The community at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. Now, I greatly appreciate everybody out there who's trying to support their favorite content creators. If you're out there sharing videos across social media and trying to nudge up these terrible algorithms on all of our platforms, a huge thank you to the efforts being made. But if you have the means, I hope you'll consider checking out the community at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. Early access tiers, production diaries, the private Discord, all of my videos in 4K, even for my face being kind of busted up right now. It's just a really fun community of geeks, so I hope you'll check them out. A huge thank you from the bottom of my heart, as those folks on the Patreon are literally helping to keep the lights on here in the Gadget Lab. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy, across all the socials, but these days, I'm trying to spend a bit more time on the Mastodons, a lot less so on the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and definitely not on the Twitters, and I will catch you all on the next video. Maybe edited from a tablet.